Hi, welcome to this Effective Study Masterclass, and my name is Iryna McDonald. Today, I'm going to help you to make the best use of your study time. There are three things that we will cover in this session. Firstly, we need to think about when to study because time is limited, time is precious, so we want to make sure you use it to the best of your potential. We will then need to think about how we're going to study because we want to make sure that the studies are effective. You're fully engaged with the material that you're learning. And finally, we want to improve the information retention. So it stays in your head, not just till the day of the exam, you'll be able to retain it for your future career as well. So let's now look at those issues one by one. When we're thinking about when to study, we need to realize that we are all different, all individual, and we all have a natural rhythm. I, for example, work really well in the mornings. I could get up at 6 a.m. and get loads done before my kids get up. So 6 a.m. is the time for me, but I perfectly realize that may not work for you at all. So think about when can you focus the most, when you've got the time, when you are not disturbed and can devote yourself to a topic. That might be the time that you should devote to your studies. And don't just hope that those time pockets will arise, plan for them. So if you create yourself a little calendar saying on Monday, those are the half an hour slots that I might have, or there may be some time on Saturday morning or Sunday afternoon. If you've got a clear schedule, if you've got a pattern, you're much more likely to stick to it. And sticking is important because cramming for the exams the night before is very, very stressful and difficult. It's also not very effective. So if you stick to your schedule, if you do things you plan to do on Monday, Friday, Sunday, you're more likely to feel in control. You're more likely to feel on top of your studies. However, just sitting there for long periods trying to absorb information is not always effective. Sometimes it's actually better to have a little break, refresh yourself. After the break, you'll feel that you can now focus and you have become productive again. As a result, you can combine your studies and a little bit of fun, a cup of coffee, a slice of cake, a chat with a friend, and still achieve your exam goals. Also, look out for those pockets of that time where you seemingly not doing anything. For example, when you're on a bus or you're commuting to work, there may be 20 minutes of time that you normally spend staring out of the window. But what about putting your revision notes in your bag or your pocket and spending some of those 20 minutes flicking through them going, okay, what was this topic all about? Am I comfortable with this topic? That means you have to spend less of your precious evenings or weekends on studying, and you're still reinforcing all of the learning you've been doing in those pockets of that time that otherwise be wasted. It's a win-win for everybody involved. Let's now think about how you should study. So, as many of us now study from home, it is important to minimize distractions. For some, it might be TV, mobile phones, social media are really distractive. We also could think about the fridge. My bugbear for sure, I spend a lot of time when working from home in front of the fridge. So try to refrain from those habits. Say to yourself, this is my time slot for studies. Leave your mobile phone outside the room, switch your TV off, and no visits to the fridge unless absolutely necessary, because that means you're going to be immersing yourself in the topic you are studying. And do build in those rewards. Think about the fact that if you knuckle down for this half an hour and cover the topic, in the evening, you'll have your time free, and therefore you could go out to a cinema with a friend, or you could go for a walk with the dog, whatever might be your reward. Build in those positive things in every single day. So it feels like, there's something to look forward to. And even if you're dealing with lots of challenges in your studies, you are still getting something in return for those efforts you're putting in. In terms of habits of learning, it's always best to learn little and often. So those long days when you're just sitting there in front of your books sometimes are very difficult because your head hurts at the end of the day, and sometimes are not very productive because there is too much information you're trying to absorb. So by cutting it down into smaller, manageable chunks, you make sure that information is better retained. And to retain the information better, you also want to engage further with your materials. For example, by making notes, as opposed to just reading a page of text, summarize in your own words, what have you just learned from this page? And think about how it works in your circumstances. If in your organization, in your job, you've seen something similar, think about how the topic you've just covered relates to situation. How would you do things differently to achieve a more effective outcome in the situation? And that makes the topic more engaging, more manageable, and could possibly also make you a more effective employee. Therefore, you're more likely to get that promotion or pay raise that you're aiming for. Also, you don't have to study alone. You could join a study group. Whether you're studying online, whether you're studying in a class, there will be lots of other students that are in similar situations, revising similar topics. So by sharing your ideas or your problems with them, everybody will be better off. Finally, let's have a look at the information retention. There are certain bits in every syllabus that are fairly logical. For example, with calculations, the more you repeat them, the better you're going to get, because you reinforce the formulae, you reinforce the patterns of those calculations. But similar things also work in discursive exams, where your analysis skills help you to notice repeating patterns in the scenarios. And therefore, in the exam, when you're presented with a similar story, you go, yes, I've seen this one before. I know where examiners heading with this, and therefore, you are more likely to answer the question correctly. When it comes to using materials effectively, do use a variety of different colors. So for example, you can say that from this page, there's 3 things I want to remember. I can use logic, I could use color, and I could use repetition to reinforce my learning. So by making the material yours, whether it is highlighting and underline, whether it's using colorful stickers on your materials, you're more likely to remember where a certain topic has been covered. You make it easier for yourself to find that information if you need it for reference. Also, feel free to interact with the material and summarize it in a way that works for you. So for example, when I think about the topic of accounting, I could think about the financial accounting, preparation of the annual report. I could think about the management accounting, the budgets and forecasts. I could think about the audit, independent examination of financial statements. So I've just created a little mind map, a diagram that summarizes the key concepts that connect with a topic in my head. So if I ever want to revise the topic of accounting, I know there are 3 things within this topic that I need to look at. Also, do feel free to use mnemonics. Mnemonics are just memory tools to help you to remember what the topic is all about. So for example, when you're studying, you might set yourself SMART goals. And SMART is a mnemonic because it stands for specific. You need to clearly identify for yourself what it is that you want to revise today. Is measurable. How many pages of material, how many questions you are to practice. Achievable. Thinking what's possible to do within the time that's available. Relevant. Focusing on the syllabus topics that are more poignant to your exam. And of course, T is timely. creating a clear schedule or calendar to keep your studies on track. The final aspect that will help us to improve our information retention is repetition. If you tried something today and it is difficult, try it again tomorrow or maybe in 2 days' time, and you notice that this topic has gotten easier, you got quicker at doing questions on this topic, because the more you practice, the better you're going to get at it. So do come back to those tough bits and you will see that they will become more accessible over time. Repetition helps you to manage even the hardest bits of preparation for the exam. Finally, thank you very much for attending this masterclass. I hope it will help you to make your studies more effective. And maybe one day we're going to be able to see each other in class, whether it's a physical or online class, to help you to prepare for your exam. Lots of luck, guys. Bye.